Friendship Feed is a production of iHeartRadio and the Fair Life Media. Before we start, for purpose of identity, we have edited the audio page throughout this podcast. Please take care while listening.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Friendship Feed 3-part special edition podcast on the 2020 Singapore general elections. I'm Warsaw, nice to meet you, and please do remember to stay at home. I'll be delivering a 3-part podcast that will receive sometime over this week, starting with a post-nomination and leading all the way up after the election. Just a disclaimer, this podcast do not necessarily reflect the opinions on the election or three parties and along with the affiliation, but based on a personal analysis. We are not doing some campaigning or anything because this is against the rule. Just a reminder that we are only mentioning updates and discussion. But do remember that voting is secret and compulsory. We will also not share the vote description orally. That's it. The GE2020 was called in 23rd on June, last 2 Tuesdays ago, by the President Halimah Yacob in a live televised interview by PM Lee. In an update on the so far so good update for the ongoing COVID-19. However, the elections now also see some more new normals, such as the absence of the physical rallies, as you can see that there are some new campaigning gear, and some rallies will now be filmed in Suntec Convention Center and somewhere all the other places here, so it's quite hard considered as a new norm. You can enjoy watching the one from your home. Consider it as a stay at home. Earlier on 13 March, the election boundaries were drawn and published, which many of these constituencies saw new changes, but more notably, none of them are 6 seaters, which is something that we first seen in the 1997 election. Among the draws, Tampines has finally got our first redrawing on the boundaries in about 2 decades since 2001, and the ex-opposition ward Potong Pasir for the first time since the formation in 1984, 1959, with Bidadari now drawing inside the ward, replacing Tapayo. Seeing these states of play, we will analyze that in our first impression, we will bet that Workers' Party may have most on the eastern area, and then the Progress Singapore on the west, and other parties on a certain direction. But we were going to give you a state of play on how each participating in party and how chances are followed by our constituencies. Just a reminder once more, these do not reflect a view on which ward they are or the probability here. Okay? So we're gonna start with the first part. First, we dive into the ruling Workers' Party. So much for tore apart parliament. In the last election, they became the only opposition party to represent in the 13th parliament because they have successfully defending the 2 constituencies of Aljunied and Hougang, and earning the other 3 non-constituencies MPs to form the minimum of 9 opposition wards. Moving ahead, on the 8th of April 2018, former Chief Secretary General Lau Tia Kiang passed his leadership role to Pritam Singh, another member of the Aljunied. Now, coming in 2020, we saw Lau and the two MPs not going to stand this year's election. We earlier announced that he was in a hospital, the Kutepa hospital, because of the head injury. Eh, eh. And that will mean that he have ended his career for the first time in 32 years, though. Now, given the proximity and the past election records, we saw that ex-NC MPs were now replacing now vacated MPs, and other new candidates were here. There are 8 of them, and along with some other previous state candidates who are going to come and gun the other constituencies. There are 21 candidates this year, 8 of them being brand new, contesting in 6 constituencies. Our next party is Singapore Democratic Party. There's a saying, sometimes the early bird get the worm. Prove it as a good one because they were the earliest party to prepare the campaign. However, nothing is without the controversy such as what happened in 2017 because there has been a call on a by-election for Marsiling UT, but because this is a single vacancy, however, there is no need to call for the by-election. However, this time 11 constituency candidates will then want to try again to contest their constituencies that they did during the last election, which namely Yuhua, Holland Bukit Timah, Bukit Panjang, Bukit Batok, and Marsiling UT. Speaking of Bukit Batok, however, it was also a spotlight in the 2016 because the Secretary General Chee Soon Juan also took a face-off, but lost to the ex-Aljunied GRC candidate Muraili Pillai. But with a good result with nearly 39% of the vote, he then come again for a second serving. Now, we might go into pace against with a close contest, but I will not be surprised if they lose in any of these constituencies. Oh, and Tanjise also returned because he dissolved Sing first. So welcome back. Then we'll go on to Singapore People's Party, which is another party which also have a opposition legend. But like Lao, this one also came to a end of an era which previous opposition veteran Chiam Si Tong retired from politics due to health. So we will be replacing the guy named Steve Chia, a former NCMP and also National Solidarity Party, which I'll be covering that in just a while. So now he have going to fill the party for the Bishan Toa Payoh constituency, and a newcomer by the name of Jose Raymond now going to try to make it a third time's a charm, trying to reclaim the opposition Potong Pasir. Wait, what NSB? They will go on to let's focus the script. Now, I want to mention the past 2 elections, it has also been a tight fight for that constituency here, whereas the wife of Chiam Si Tong named Lina tried to fill her in the place, but in the first attempt, it did get very close to being defended because it's a gap of 114 votes, defeating by a guy who actually took it the third time, the charm, Sito Iping. Her rematch wasn't do quite very well either, but because this is a large piece, a swing that actually prevented her from getting her a second term in the NCMP. A nice thing goes to Bishan Topayo because this also had a larger swing here, despite it was going to have an alliance with the Democratic Progressive Party. This time, they are not going to contest. Now we're going on to National Solidarity Party because it has been a favorite contest when it has contesting in many of these constituencies. And previously it was in 2011 they have the largest slate, but this time they are fielding 10, 10 candidates in batching in two teams, Sembawang and Tampines. And now in the last election we have been seeing quite a bit of a so-called McPherson Achilles heel. Yeah, that's right. There is a Achilles heel because there has been a lot of or some like change plans or change other things. One then not only was some other key members like Hazel Poor goes to the Progress Singapore Party, which I'm going to go there later. Then there's also another controversy or like some backlash, whereas the candidate Chiu Tai Chen go and call PAP's candidate Tim Pei-ling a mother witness. Really? And you know what? He also lost $14,500. Yikes! What 14,500? Well, that's the deposit, but I'm going to go in depth in just the detail. Again, I'm not very confident about about that party though, but we're gonna see how. But we're gonna see how it's going to happen though. We also want to mention Singapore Democratic Alliance because this was the election for the last for the leader, Desmond Lim. It's always steep to fight in the northeastern shores. The Pasir Ris Punggol GRC, which is the helm by the senior minister, guy Teo Tee Hian. Well, Punggol got its own limelight in its own division. Punggol is in the last decade because it was the only constituency in the 2011 election to have a three-cornered contest between a former MP who became Speaker, Mr. Michael Palmer, and the WP's then the new candidate who is not going to contest this election, Lee Didian. Then about a year later, Palmer resigned because of a extramarital affair, and later he have been upgraded to a rare four-corner contest. And despite they also added the Reform Party in the fray, Lee Didian of the Workers' Party won that rematch, this time against previously Yio Chu Kang division, now in going to Tampines, Kopo Kun. However, these two of these elections also became unlucky for Desmond though, because in both of these occasions he have lost his deposit. Now let's go back to the party though. I'm not very confident about the chances though, unless if they could try to raise their hands up to win this election because it's only a small team. Only 5 of them, and not 6 all, because Pastor Pongo is now a 5-member, not 6. Now, the other 2 parties which I'm not very confident about are Reform Parties, Kenajara and People's Power Party, Goming Singh, because not only it was a small number, the latter only went to contest McPherson. So good luck with that one. And now we're going to go on to the new parties, which I'm kinda very excited from here. So first we have the PSP, or Progress Singapore Party. No, not the Sony console, which we have one when PAP still got Aljunis. No, not the PSP one, okay? Remember that doctor and that political kingpin Tan Ching Bok? Well, that same guy who went to contest in the president election but by a tiny margin ended up got runner up. Yes, that guy, he's back and he's still not going to give up. Last year, this party have been formed, and this time he is going to field a number of teams that is going left and right. Right. And this time, the parties do not even need an alliance. And coming this election, there are 24 elections. So, and he is going back to contest in the West Coast GRC because of Aya Raja being part of it, and it's going to be like so exciting. Like, I don't know what I'm going to say. It's going to be a good fight. Oh, and do you want a voice in Parliament? How about Lim Tian's People's Voice? Oh, Lim Tian is also a NSP member, and this is pretty much a good party, but I'm not very confident about the status quo because on the side that there are also got a few members participating, but it's just a new party, so the same goes to the 5-member Red Dot United who are going to contest in Jurong though. The similarities are there are some previously contested candidates here. In the case of Red Dot United, it was Michelle Lee from the Singapore Democratic Party in 2011. Then last year we also got a new candidate, Rabbi Philemon, who contested Hong Kong as Singapore People's Party. And now, by the time we saw the nominations ended on June 30th, we saw 192 candidates, which includes one independent, who will go into battle for the 14th Parliament, and which has 93 seats. 31 constituencies and 93 candidates are on the line. We'll find out how it goes. But first, we are going to dive into the top 10 most concerned fights. We are going to analyze between single member and a group member constituencies, which I'm going to have the bit of the more concern. So I'm gonna start with GRCs. On number 10, I just say that this decision was quite also had a record though, but I'm not very confident about the opposition, but I'm very confident that this is going to be a keen fight here. Amokyo GRC. Well, it was a well-traditioned, fabled constituency by the current Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. It is once a 6th seat, as well as like Pasir Ris Pongo. Now, Reform Party's only team, led by the leader Kenneth Ranam, who previously had a record on contesting in the West Coast. But the last election, it was easily beaten because of a very, very high score one, but it's quite near. By the way, I've been a central focal in the 2015 because there has been a number of activists like the infamous Roy Ng here, but I'm not surprised how the ending will go. No. In a rule though, don't mess up with him. It's just too much when lightning strikes or if the fans want to see him go. Mind you though that this election is likely least last time he was going to be the leader for the party. Number 9. Well, scare me if there is a walkover again and I will cringe. But yeah, it almost have here because it was a tale of 2 lapses in their nomination forms, but none of them objected and the competition just went on. Because sportsmanship is mattermost is Tanjong Pagar GRC. The late Lee's ward, or a once favored stronghold, now is going to have a battle between the bigger opposition and the ruling party, between Minister of Trade and Industry Chan Chun Sing versus the bigger opposition party. Well, I think that this is not going to be a catfight though, but this is going to be something that it could be constituency for the for between the older generation and millennials mixed up together, but this is going to be quite keen fight here, but it's not as really much however. And then we go number 8. Between the formation and its first contest, there is a constituency that has been cutting by, and once it stepped down, it has caused a defeat. Bishan Topayo. So, yeah, that's right. This constituency in the central is now a 4-member constituency because Bishan North has been now cut out from that map to become a single member constituency of new Marymount constituencies. So, because it has a longer record on not having a boundaries drawn until 2015, and then we have an uncontested walkover until 2011. And so the PAP's parties are the same 4 phases here, which led by the Defense Minister Ng Yen Heng. The 5th one, which is a Manpower Minister Joseph Vidal, was going to carve out to Jalan Besar to lead a team though. So, well, this is going to be considered to be a all guys affair though, because all 8 of these candidates in this constituency are all guys. Right. So he will be going to face against Steve Chia, which is a leader, the Secretary General for the party, and he did return after not participating in the last election because of the McPherson Achilles heel. But I'm not sure where will the swing can go though. Maybe if the swing can go to the Singapore People's Party, or if the swing goes to the PAP. But it's what voters' voice matters. Number 7. Well, Singapore Democratic Party keep throwing their towers among the aces in the last decade. And that will be Holland Bukit Timah. But this this one is a mix where Sing first got dissolved, then we see the return of Tenjise in this party. Well, Tenjise is also another president show election 2011 candidate, but not even came close to winning. Another possible A team against a four-man favorite though. So the PAP's team, led by the Foreign Minister Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan, will then have to fight against the team of Tanji Sado. Oh, well, the last few fights here in the decade though have saw the parties contributed the best performing results because both of them are the only constituencies for the Singapore Democratic Party to have scores higher than the national average, but to no prevail though. I'm not surprised if PAP will win again, but it's anything can happen here on July 10th. And so here it is. Number 6. Now go back to 1992 and you will see Teo Tihens making his political debut in a rare four-cornered fight in the Marine Parade Jersey by-election. Well, his experience, his deja vu just came back in 28 years later, in which a three-corner showdown in Pasir Ris Punggol GRC will going to happen. It's a fight between him, the Singapore Democratic Alliance only team, and the newbie team People's Voice. So we're going to bet that when multi-corner fights can occur and the fact that any candidate can end up losing the $13,500 deposit is inevitable, then this one will happen. So I can say that Desmond Lim has already have a record twice, and I would not be surprised if he did it again this election. So I admire the opposition's determination, but we are undeterred how the split will gonna occur anyway though. It's a Northeast stronghold, once a 6-seater, but then because Punggol has continued to evolve their population in very scary sizes, keep on getting big and big. Wow. Number 5. Well, in the past, the face of Goh Chok Tong make it one of the PAP strongholds until it finally changed in 2020 when Goh actually left politics for the first time after 44 years, and now Speaker Tan Chuan Jin is finally going to be the man in this ward. Come last decade, it has become a battle in all force. In 2011, a National Solidarity Party, which also had a female face called Nicosia. Then 2015, we have a former NCMP, Yi Zhen-jong. Now he's ready for round 2. And like Bishan Topayo, this battle here, all 10 of them are men, are all male. But only 5 can come out triumph. We know if that will be like Tanjong Pagar here when we saw the death of Lee, and now given that Goh Chok Tong steps down, we're still keen to find out if there is another showdown, or we're gonna have an answer to know which one will be the next political kingpin. So yeah. And then number 4, you may want to listen to this quote because I got it from a $1 billion movie because this is a very good one. So here it is. Yes, it is another showdown since 1997, but come in 2020 when a new challenger entered the fray in the place of the Reform Party. Eh, It's the kingpin Tan Cheng Bok from Progress Singapore Party because he's no stranger when Ayer Rajah voted him in the 80s until the 2006, which at the time his his own SMC got absorbed into the neighboring West Coast where that constituency enjoyed a walkover, and now at that time between 2006 it was helmed by the MC Minister of Communication and Information S.C. Surawan, and now in 2011 a new candidate Fumi Ha. Now get ready for another showdown like you have like no other show have gone before since their Top Guns comes on the battlefield in the southwest. Meanwhile, at two Jurong GRC's MPs is Desmond Lee, the Socials and Family Minister, and its chairman and Ang Wei Nun. Minus one outgoing and one who goes to Pioneer, and you got a nice team to boot. So it's a combo between S.C. Sarawan and Desmond Lee against Ayer Rajah and Hesopua, which is going to be sometime before that settles, and a one fight in a decade between a well-prepared one and a well-fortified team in a PAP stronghold. I doubt if they can make it though, but remember that according to the election, it is the first past the post voting, and a majority of voters, 144 something thousands, we're going to vote, and the majority wins, this team will win. This may change. Number 3. A saying from the media, new kid in the block, is what is bound to happen, and at least one GRC is born from the electoral map every election. Come this year, we now have a 4-seat ward in the northeast Singapore, mixing two existing SMCs and part of Pasir Ris Punggol into this brand new Sengkang GRC. See, its PAP team is also a mix of the NTUC chief and the Prime Minister Office Minister Ng Chee Ming from Pasir Ris Punggol, a Senior Parliamentary Secretary Ahmad Amin, a Senior Minister of State and Sengkang West SMC guy La Bing Ming, and a new guy named Raymond Lai. Now in this year, the Workers' Party has now thrown up a previously candidate, a Hurting Rule, along with 3 new faces, which also includes an activist, an associate professor, and an analyst. Wait, you mean that associate professor that showed up in last night's debate? They gone very hit. Yeah, so triple A's, not aces. First impression, they are pretty profiled. Their nomination day is also all A's. In the debate, he aced. I think a showdown PAP versus WP is mostly inevitable, given that the past record dating back to 1997's Chengshan GRC all the way to the 2013 Pongo East by-election and the 2015 general election in which that the BAP won back that constituency. We are not sure how it sparked kind, so expect crossfire. Number 2. In the last decade in 2011, opposition added a milestone with Workers' Party winning a GRC for the very first time in the history of the elections. In 2015, it was another fierce showdown between 4 new grassroots members and a former MP Yogwa Guang, which also includes Bukit Batok MP Murali Pillai. But it was only a margin of nearly 1.92%, giving WP Valley a second term re-election. It's our unit GRC. Now here comes another showdown between the same parties, but we have 2 members from each team changing the fray. BAB comes, which have Alexio and Chen Huiyu. Chen Huiyu is a backup member that did not make the cut in the last election due to a family matter. In the Workers' Party, Lo Jiaqiang and another MP, Chen Shoumao, both stepped down, but now they actually paved the way for former NCMPs Garo Giam and Leon Pereira. And this is going to be the first election in which Pritam Singh, the leader, is now the leader for this party. So it's no pushover like what Pritam say, but it's going to be another tense fight. It's going to be another close fight like no other constituency is going to expect. Now, before we get to number 1 for this one, we are going to mention notable mentions. Tampines GRC, and if you think that DPM Heng Swee Keat were gonna lead a team again in a East region stronghold, well, think again, because we still have another anchor minister, Masago Sukifi, the environment minister. He do have a spare tire in their PAP bandwagon, which in a case, it was Senior Minister of State and Amokyo GRC, the MP Kopo Kun. He will then have a friendly rivalry with the National Solidarity Party. Then they always have a face-off in the election since 1997. Then the record was mostly up and down. 2011 came in close to getting elected, but that was their best result. In 2015, the PAP was a very easy fight for them because it was because of McPherson's Achilles heel. At TBE, their boundaries finally got a makeover in about 2 decades, and the sample counts was the most accurate one with only like less than 0.1%. Make no mistakes this time, but we'll see if we can drag along. And now, here comes number 1. For East Coast GRC, behold the brains against the brawn in one of another epic showdown in the decade. Now, after seeing the acting of Minister Lim Swee Say enter a surprise by Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat, which me and most of the viewers, including Pritam Singh, came in a shock when he comes here to fortify a very weak performing constituency. In the past 3 elections, the Workers' Party threw their towel into this battle, but they came very close in winning. More notably, since 2011, they have actually scored one NCMP in this constituency. Now, this is another showdown when Fengshan added the same remains of the East Coast U.S.C, which also have a very same boundary, along with the team, a senior minister of state and mayor, and two female MPs, and a new candidate. Now, this time, the Workers' Party introduced 大小姐 Nicosia because that girl came contributing one of the very fierce fight in the 2011 when she was at NSP. And most of the WP are also very experienced and previously contested candidates except for one. So don't come surprised to see if the battle will end up with another NCMP because it's going to be a fight in proportions. Now here is the single member constituencies, and out of the 17 constituencies, 10 of them which I really got the eyes on. So here is what's going to happen. Number 10. A level between a holiday watch contest this time was very mild because it's going to be a showdown between the weaker new party and one of the very dramatic spotlight candidates in this election. It's McPherson single member constituency. So the only member of the People's Power Party and opposition veteran Gurmeet Singh were gonna put on what he's going to be called his final battle for one against the incumbent Tim Pei. McPherson has been a record on being a spotlight a few times here, dating back to 1997 when Singapore Democratic Party Chee Soon-juan pitted against Matthias Yao, who was then the Member of Parliament. In 2016, it was against the late Sin Kit-dong. And in 2015, it also produced a three-corner contest between Workers' Party Bernard Chen and another ex-MP and National Solidarity Party candidate Chiu Tsai-chen. I admire any determination, and it's going to be a fight between easy crossing of boundaries to harder bobs we'll see from here. Number 9. 1991 and counting, this is a haven for the Workers' Party and one of the planning grounds which enrich the party's future. Even until today, the Hogang SMC has become a very longest opposition constituency. The Workers' Party had a history of having 3 men elected in this constituency. First was the ex-chief Lo Xiaokang. Then come 2011, we have Yashing Leong. After he resigned because of so-called party misconduct and extramarital affair, 2012's by-election saw Peng Ing-huat, the latter, who is part of the East Coast team in the 2011, contributed that team a good fight. Now, this election is going to see another NCMP going to have a showdown. Denise Tan will then going to have a fight with Li Hongchuan, who is now going to have a second time going to rematch a WP candidate in the last election. In the last election, PAP got a swing from about 64 and 62% down to 57, but it's still not enough. maybe in this election, I'm not going to be surprised if Workers' Party were going to retain this stronghold, though. But I'm not going to detail that further anyway. Number 8. Actually, we're gonna skip that number. We're going to skip to number 7. Let's skip that number as well. It's number 6. I have to tie for these 3 constituencies because they were among CAF single-member constituencies from GRC. And the fact that the new PAP candidates are going to have a fight against the Progress Singapore Party is something as became a focal point of attention. So they were Kibun Baro, Marymount, Yio Chu Kang. A 3-way. So each of their party here have fielded at least one new candidate and each one having a profile between a civilian and a professional. In Kibun Baro, we have incumbent facing off against a CEO. So in Marymount, we saw a brigadier general, a first female one, will face off against a political experienced professional doctor. In U.S.C SMC, we have a civil servant against an accountant. Being SMCs from GRCs are going to be a keen contest, but there was 4 for the record. By the way, and only these 3 gets this slate. Number 5. The closest, but not actually, to finally filled Workers' Party a team for Pasir Ris Punggol GRC is this. And it's only one of only 2 constituencies, whereas we saw 2 female candidates buying out for a single member constituency. A showdown between incumbent / senior parliamentary secretary Sun Xueling and a Workers' Party newbie Tan Chen Chen. So, given the past record, these voters have voted PAP over Singapore Democratic Alliance in the past, and mostly those millennials are in this ward. I can tell you that this fight is going to be very, very tense. But beware any backstabbing because it's quite very certain that you're gonna see. Number 4. Then the record of being the opposition stronghold until in 2011, where the party got ejected out, is Potong Pasir. So it marks the end of the terms towards the end of the last decade, and this time we have filled a new challenger, Jose Raymond, who were going to try to win, while Sito Iping were going to try to secure his 3rd term. So it's like other strongholds is going to be one very tight fight we're going to see here, because since 1984 all the way up to 2011, the party opposition has been voted in for a record 6 times, the most for any opposition here, including Lau Tia Kang. In that case, 4 SMCs his terms and 2 in the alternate. So, being experienced, we're gonna see leadership transitions. It's going to be another big showdown. Number 3. If West Coast GRC's epic fight is not enough, or you want a lighter version, try a 3-corner fight with Pioneer. So basically, all three candidates are battling for their first-term MP in Pioneer after Cedric Fu left this area. Well, technically, for Patrick Stay's case, it's his third term. He will be facing against a PSP Lim Tse Hong because is part of the team who want to see like Tan Cheng Bock want to elect him. And following a surprise announcement and third candidate Jia Ping Hua. That's it. 3, not 4. I'll definitely laugh if they don't get at least 1% of the vote if this happens like what I laughed for the independent candidate in the Bukit Batok last election. So technically it's a PAP cross PSP fight. It can be a fight like West Coast also grow to the left, to the right, but it can swing either way, I can tell you. Number 2. An enclave SMC from Holland Bukit Timah, but the junctions are the same. Enter Bukit Panjang. No way this fight can be a spotlight between that party's chairman, Paul Tambaya, against an incumbent from the neighboring GRC, Liang Yinhua, because the incumbent Teo Ho Bin just left. I can say these two are also battling for their first time MPs in Bukit Panjang, but between a higher level of party member versus a very experienced candidate. Both of them do have experience, by the way, so it's going to be another very keen fight here, but we will see how it's gonna fare out though, because Bukit Panjang, since what had became SMC in 2006, it has been always a showdown between the Singapore Democratic Party. We're gonna leave it from here to see how it's gonna turn out. Before we get to number 1, I would also like to mention I'm going to mention the notable highlight. The notable mention is all the parties there for the Progress Singapore Party. Hong Kong North is the only party I did not mention in the top 10 though, but it was like Punggol West going to be a female versus female showdown round. It's between Amy Ko and Jijin Wong, a new candidate here. So I can tell you that this battle is going to be a bit too easy for the PAP though, because this ward has been a safe seat and it's part of the Choa Chu Kang area. But it's going to be another interesting fight here, so we're gonna see how it's gonna turn out. Number 1. One of the dramatic highlights in 2016 came in spring between the Singapore Democratic Party and the PAP, whereas Chee Soon Juan fight against Bukit Batok's No Stranger and Aljunied GRC candidate Murali Pillai. PAP prevailed that election, but Chee also scored a larger score. It brings on the fire, we have a civil war. So we are gonna much expect that this battle will going to kick in high gear, and we're not very surprised if he's going to try to improve his score and maybe elect it again, or will Murali going to fend off the victory once more despite the criticisms by him though. And yeah, it's going to say that it was always a stronghold here because given that it's quite near Jurong and it's in the west. Alright, so this is going to be a keen fight like I no other thing here. I'm not a brainer. So let me know what do you think on our top 10 opinions in the battle for the GE2020. As such, which constituency are you standing and who are you to vote? But do remember that come July 10, voting is compulsory, and remember that voting is confidential. So don't go anyhow, go share your vote or doing exit polls. It's illegal here. Take care and stay healthy during the COVID-19. And I wish all the 182 candidates the best of luck in this election. Do remember to subscribe to our social media and YouTube channels in Friendship Fit. Remember, whatever it takes. So vote wisely, a parliament is at stake. I'm Wiser. I'm signing off.
Friendship Feed is a production of iHeartRadio and the Friendly Media. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.